Have you ever been in a situation where you've had to make the decision of whether or not to give someone something that is yours? Give them money, give them time, give them resources, make a phone call for them, etc. I've been in that situation like probably hundreds of times at this point in the last decade just because of my positioning and how what people know about me or think about me, think they know. And I've also been in the position of the person asking. I've been in the position of the person asking for help, asking for a favor, asking sometimes for a handout. This was before I had my venture fund and raised millions of dollars and earned millions of dollars. And it's even been during because of the nature of the work that I do. So I've been in the situation. I know what it feels like to ask somebody for something and to feel like you need something. There's been urgency, emergency, all of that. So I wanted to tell you something that I learned along the way. I learned this from my brother, and I'm actually wearing his shirt right now. He has 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube, real life street stars. And it's just a coincidence that I'm wearing his shirt because I always wear his merch. But he told me this on a phone call just a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago. He told me this on a phone call. He stepped out of a meeting to help me because I was worried about something. I was worried about giving somebody something. And I was feeling guilty because I had started to regret and resent being so giving to this person. And very calmly, my younger brother told me the 5 steps or the 5 pieces of toxic charity. Now, this idea of toxic charity has been spoken about by a lot of people. And in 2011, there was an author named Lupton who wrote a book called Toxic Charity. Now, his book skews more towards religion, more towards a conservative lens. His ideals and things don't always match mine. Certainly, we have different ideology. But I took this, once I learned about it from my brother, I took this and it has helped me so much. It has helped me in ways that I cannot describe to you, both for relieving some of that guilt for myself, but in also knowing when and what to ask of others. So I know it'll help you no matter which side of this you're on. And most people will be on both sides of this at some point in their lives. So I want you to listen to every single step of toxic charity because number 3 and number 5 are just going to blow your mind. And then I also show you at the end of this video when it's okay to give and when it's not. And I think that'll help you too. So they don't teach us this in school. They don't teach us this unless we have somebody who's wise with us, unless you have my brother as your brother, unless you have someone looking out for you, especially when you're starting to make some real money. They don't teach you this. So I'm trying to give you this game for free. Okay, so the very first step of toxic charity is appreciation. Like when you give somebody something, just imagine you're giving your friend has asked you to give them $1,000 and they need it for something. Okay. You give them that $1,000 because it's an emergency, it's urgent, maybe they can't pay rent, or maybe that something's going on, maybe they're trying to get into some sort of program or do something. It costs $1,000, they need $1,000 they don't have. When you give them that, they're more than likely going to feel appreciative. And that's going to be this immediate relief that you provided for them, and you're solving that short-term problem. So on their side, they're going to feel like this elation. Think about a time where you were like handed something. It's like a relief, right? It's almost like a physical, I think it's like a physical reaction that happens to you. And it also builds this goodwill and strengthens your relationships a lot of times between the person who gives and the person who receives, at least in that short term. So it's a good euphoric feeling. Okay. Now the second one, the second wave, if you were to give that person, if they were to come back and either you gave it to them without them asking, or they asked you for it again because they know you did it the first time, Now you give them that second $1,000. The second feeling they're going to have is anticipation. So now it's like a little bit of like a puppy. And again, I'm saying this for love because I've been the puppy. It's like, oh, okay, the person might walk through the door again. Like they gave me that. So maybe when's my next treat? When's my next gift? Right? You start to feel that feeling, and it's not necessarily a bad feeling. It's still like this high, but the high isn't as high as the first time. Does this remind you of something? Does this remind you of drugs, alcohol, any kind of vice that you have? Like that's why it's called toxic charity, right? Because this feeling you feel starts to get in your skin, beneath your skin. And you start to feel like you can trust that the person giving still has that, kind of unlimited. Hey, they make a lot of money or they have a lot of money from their family. This must be easy for them. Think about like if just think for a second, like the conversations that I have. I have conversations with people like Mark Cuban. It's publicly stated that he's worth 6 billion. Who knows what he's really worth, right? But I think it's easy for him. I remember when we got on a call though, for a lot of people in our ecosystem, a lot of entrepreneurs in 2020 when things were going real sour for everybody, he got on and he said he was scared. He was scared. And I said to him, I didn't know that you got scared about money. And he said, of course I do, because there's so many people that he, is involved with. And that was real. That was like, oh, that's right. He's a human, right? So there's this subtle shift that happens, a subtle shift of the recipient's mindset. And you're over here thinking, probably like, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing a good thing. I'm helping them out. Maybe there's a little thing in the back of your mind that's like, that's the second time. Okay, this last time, right? Again, they're getting that relief. So they're feeling a little bit on a high. Then the third one, this is when things start to get really, really complicated. The third feeling, the person comes back for a third time a few months later, a few days later, or even you say, I got you. I got you. Maybe you even have them on like some sort of payroll, or you have them on some sort of automated um, uh, transaction that happens through your bank. And you just like, I got you, right? That third time, let me tell you what they're feeling. According to Toxic Charity in 2011, the book, and what my brother told me that faithful day, they're now feeling expectation. And if we stopped at 3 out of 5, that would be enough to hopefully make you think about like second guess doing this. Because now that they feel expectation, it's starting to become harmful for them. It's starting to be something that is not great and it's harmful to your relationship. Okay. The aid is no longer seen as a gift, but as something they believe they deserve. Again, point that back at me. I no longer see it so much as a gift. I'll probably still do because I'm a decent person, but I also feel like, well, it's the third time. So it's now the treat. I've gotten the treat. I did the dance. I barked, I rolled over, I did what we were supposed to do. Now I'm supposed to get paid. Or now I'm supposed to get the introduction that I asked for, or whatever you're thinking of. If this becomes a regular part of my life or their life, the recipient's life, and your life, um, they start to here's where it gets really tough and complex. The recipient starts to factor it into their life. So when they're planning ahead, they're like, well, she's probably gonna give me that 1,000 again because she gave it to me 3 times in a row here. I'll probably have it then too. So now it becomes part of the rhythm and the plan of their life. You see where this is going? Now, number 4 and number 5 is when my brother got to this part, when he gave me this list, when he got to this part, is when my heart sank, but then I also felt an enormous amount of relief because I understood. I got the unlock. If you're ready to hear number 4 and number 5, let me know in the comments right now. If the first 3 have been helpful to you, let me know in the comments right now. Make sure that you subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, you don't get to see all of my videos. I put them out almost every single day to try to help you make more money and have more fulfillment in your life. And, just share my story and my world with you. So make sure you're subscribed right now. Okay, so number 4, let's say it's the 4th time they coming back to you again, or out of the kindness of your heart, seemingly, you are giving them something for the 4th time. And by the way, this doesn't have to be the exact thing. It may be the 4th gift in a row. It doesn't have to be the same 1,000 or the same any amount. It could be $50, $20. It could be 10,000, whatever. It's just the 4th time that you're giving them something that is yours, right? Okay. That feeling, that 4th feeling is entitlement. Ooh, even that saying that word kind of, I have a physical reaction to it. Um, I think I have to kind of probably go to therapy and figure out why I have that reaction, but it's like it hits home because I've been in that situation so many times with other people where they feel entitled to what is mine, entitled to what I built and the work that I do. And I know I put in so much work. I put in so much work over these years to get to a place where I can just kind of like have head above water. And when people kind of feel entitled to that, it's a trigger, right? So then on the giver side, the gifting is over, right? It's no longer a gift. They're entitled to it, right? But on the giver side, it now feels like an obligation. It now feels like, well, I've done this is my 4th time doing this. Either it was my idea at first or their idea at first, but either way, now it's like an obligation. Now I'm trying to get out of it. Now I don't know what to do. And you feel like you're in quicksand, right? Now, think about how the relationship would be at this point too. Think about this and go back and think if this has ever happened to you. Because number 5 is where things get really like emergency, red flag, red flag. And I'm going to tell you, after I tell you number 5 and explain it to you, I'm also going to tell you how to take a breath and how to get back to okay and how to fix it if it has already happened. This is going to be big. Okay. So number 5. So number 4 was what? Entitlement. And right now we think, well, entitlement, that's the end. If that were the end, it almost would be okay because then you could kind of blame it on somebody. You could blame it on them being greedy or blame it on them being whatever the word you're going to put there. Or you could just say, oh man, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm never going to get them anything again. But number 5 is the reason you need to stick around. Don't leave them because number 5 is dependency. They are now dependent on you. They are dependent on your gift giving. And back at 2 and 3, when they went like 3, when they started planning and putting it into their daily lives and their strategy, that's when things had started to get real wonky. So now they're dependent on it like someone would be on some substance, right? They're dependent on it like somebody would be maybe on a person. They're dependent on you and that gift. And things have become really dark, even if it seems not so dark every time you see them. You are probably feeling some type of way, and they're probably feeling some sort of like, now I need it to be more often. Now I need it more so than ever. Now, dot, 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 dot. They have lost their ability to sustain themselves without your intervention. So they may be your same age or even older than you, and now they are dependent on you. It's long-term harm. So you can't just leave them. I think personally, that's my opinion, that you can't just create that monster and then leave and bounce. So this is where I found myself with this particular person that I was calling my brother about, because unbeknownst to me, I had reached level 5. Like it was like an alarm going off. And because they're trapped in this cycle of reliance on me, it was like a tornado. So it was like pulling me in, and they were feeling bad and I was feeling bad. And it turned out that this is the ultimate consequence of toxic charity. So Lupton talks about what to do next. And I also just generally, once I understood this, I put pen to paper. I had a lot of reflection and I thought through this too. So what do you do if you're already at level 5 or you're at level 4 and you don't want to get to level 5? Well, first of all, know that what you have is yours. And what you have, you are allowed to give to anyone you would like to, for any reason you would like to. Let me just put that out there. You have money, you are allowed to just make a decision. I want to give this person money. I want to be a toxic charitable person. Like you just allowed. But if you want to do it where you don't get caught up and they don't get caught up, one thing you could do is say, anytime I give somebody something, my internal um, rule is that I will only give them one time. It's only a one-time gift. They get a one-time gift from me, right? They get a one-time bailout, a one-time this. And you should say that to them so that they understand that. Because right now they're in appreciative mode. So they're going to hear you. You say, look, I'm going to give this to you once, and that's it. So they know the guidelines and the rules, and they say, yes, I agree to that. Boom, let's go. So you can give somebody a bailout if you feel like they're hearing you, okay? And it will help them out. Another thing you can do is, especially if you're already in this, like if you're already like at level 3, 4, 5, is sit with them. And as uncomfortable and as awkward as this may be, sit with them and say, look, I can no longer give you this, but I want to work with you and see how we can work together to see how you can make this on your own. Now, in some cases, that's going to come across as condescending. But let me tell you this right now. I'm just going to give it to you real. If I'm paying you, if I'm giving you money, that's my money or my resource, and I decide I don't want to do that anymore, that's my prerogative. And also, if I decide to say, like, I want to help you in in a bigger way, in a better way, to help you make a whole lot more than you would have just by getting my gift, then that's my prerogative as well. It is your prerogative to say yes or no to listening to that, or to listen to it and do it or not. But that's where you leave somebody and you leave them. It's like teach a man to fish and they'll eat forever, right? If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, they'll eat forever, right? So it's, I'm going to teach you how to fish because something has worked in my life. I'm going to try to teach you that. And it's up to you to go for it and go with it. Another thing that helped me was when I was already in this with like more than one person, I gave like a longer amount of time for that person to not receive my gift. So what I mean by that is they were used to getting something from me all the time. And all of a sudden I was going to be taking that away from them. And it was really, really, really tough for me to say this. But I said to these different people, I said, look, I know you're used to this. I'm going to have to stop, but I'm not going to just leave you in the lurch cold turkey because that's dangerous, right? What I'm going to do is on this date, it will be the last time. And therefore, you have this amount of time to figure something else out. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It is awkward. It feels kind of like trash sometimes, depending on how close you are or how you're wired. If you're a people pleaser or if you're someone who you just simply don't want to see somebody hurt. But I promise you, the whole point of this video is that is kindness. That is the real giving, is to give somebody to to relieve them of your charity and to relieve them of them needing to depend on you. If they're dependent on you, if they're addicted to your help, that is not sustainable. You're going to be stuck in that for a long time, and your friendship or your relationship will suffer from that. I'll give you a really good example. There's somebody who is very, very well known and very wealthy, who I knew, known them for a few years. And when I talk about being homeless a lot and bouncing around the different hotels and Airbnbs and the floors of airports with my mom. At one point, I went to this person before I learned this, and while I was definitely, needing some sort of help, right? And I went to them and I asked for a few $1,000s. And I said, if I had a few $1,000s, I could get out of the situation I'm in. And they actually gave me that money. They gave me like $5,000. And it was at the time, $5,000 was like a savior among saviors because I had no money at all. So they gave me the 5,000. It helped, 100% helped, like majorly helped, and it helped shift a lot in me. But what I said to them, I remember this very specifically. I said to them on the phone, I will never ask you for anything else if you give me this 5,000. And they gave me the 5,000, and they're rich, so I thought no big deal. So then let's say 3 months later, something like that, I was broke again because I was on this high of having that. And I thought, oh, this big thing's going to happen. And in the meantime, it's all going to be all good. So, whatever. And I'm trying to get this job over here and over there, but I'm okay right now because I can order food, or I can breathe. I can go grocery shopping for the first time in a long time, breathe. 3 months later, I got back to them and I was like, hey, I know that I said I wouldn't ask you for anything, but I'm almost there. I'm almost exactly where I need to be. I'll be in such a good place so soon if you just give me another 5,000. Now, I thought they're wealthy. They already did it. Of course, they're going to give me another 5,000. Like, it's going to suck to ask and I feel a little ashamed, a little embarrassed, but they're going to give me the 5,000, so it's worth it. He said to me, and he's very like successful, so he has been through this stuff before. He said, "No." I said, but we're out here and I'm with my mom and we're out here hungry." And he said, "No." I said, "When I gave you that money, I told you it was the only time I was going to do it. I'm not going to give it anymore." At the time, guess what I felt? I was pissed. I was like, I cussed him out under my breath. I was like, how dare he, this entitled person, da 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 da. Do you understand that that was probably the reason that I'm sitting here right now, having raised and generated millions of dollars? Because if he had said, okay, kind of like begrudgingly, like, okay, here's the, I would have done the exact same pattern that led me to losing it, or not losing it, but spending it in a way that I thought was cool. Okay, it's a place to live, it's food, it's education. Okay, this is going to do it. But it would have taken me in a different path. And maybe I would have asked again, and maybe he would have said yes again. But these are like little incremental things. And do you understand that $5,000 for me is like a phone call? $5,000 is like a Tuesday afternoon. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk at all. I'm not even like ashamed of it. I will say I am bragging. I am bragging because we should all be entitled Black women. But what I'm really saying is where you are right now, or where the person is right now, they cannot fathom how brilliant a life they're about to have. They cannot fathom what these numbers will mean to them down the line. Even if you're in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, and you're like, well, I'm already here. You're not here. You don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what's around the corner. You have no idea. So these little incremental steps you're taking that involve like begging for money or asking for money, sometimes they're an emergency and you need them, and go for it. Therese Tucker, who is a $1 billion founder, told me to my face, pride is not an asset. And I will always remember that. And that means that sometimes, yeah, you do have to ask the questions and sometimes you do need the help, and it's okay. Right. But this is about having the pendulum not go too far on either side. You need to think, and I say need to, I'm still learning big time, but we need to try to be right here in the middle. And this, if you're the person who's giving because you have, listen, if you're the person who is like, you're 30 to 60, let's even say you're, a person of color, or you're a woman, or whatever the case is, and you're making $100,000 at your job. To some people in your family, that's probably a lot of money. And so they think of you as an ATM. If I'm hitting a chord, striking a chord, let me know in the comments. And maybe you don't because you don't want your family to see, but they're not gonna see that. Just say, girl, I hear you. But you know that $100,000 after taxes, after your expenses, and probably because you had to move to a certain city that you thought you had to move to make that, goes so fast. And the $2,000 loan you gave to your auntie or your niece or wherever is gone, is like wiped you out, right? And that that weight that you have, that weight that you have is going to stay there if you don't go back to thinking about this. Let me tell you what, when it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no anytime you want to. That's number one. It's okay to say no any darn time you want to say no. Okay? Another thing to think about is I can say no if I feel like it will be causing harm to say yes. If I feel like I I think that you're going to get closer to steps 4 and 5 fast if I say yes. You can do it if you feel like by doing so, you're encouraging the empowerment of the other person. You can also do so if the person has no relationship to you. This is something that I just had in a video. It just happened to me a few days ago where somebody woke me up, called, got my number, definitely was, she took initiative, but she got my number, called me, woke me up at like 5 something in the morning, my time, and she wanted some money. And I put this video out telling people like this is what I would do if I needed money like her because I've been in her position. And a lot of people were like, exact, that was like so wise, that was so kind of you, that was so helpful. And some people wrote in their comments, man, why didn't you just give her the money? You have it. Well, first of all, there's a lot of cuss words in my head right now. But first of all, that is none of your business. And second of all, I don't know her. And do you know how many people, if I had to make a video for every time somebody who was a stranger asked me for money that wasn't part of my like business structure of investment, just somebody saying, "Can you pay for my rent? Can you pay to put me through school? Can you pay for me to go to this trip? Can you do this, that, and the other?" And I don't know them from Adam, I would not be able to have enough videos in my lifetime to express that. It happens all the time, every single week. Somebody's asking me for money who I've never met because they think, okay, she has some money, if she has access to money, I'm going to get some money. So I get to say no when I want to say no. But what I did and what I will continue to do is I'm definitely going to try to help you learn how to fish. I'm definitely going to tell you what I think will get you in a better position because I've been there. And I know that if I had continued to get the money from this particular person a few years ago, I would not be in this position right now. And these are lessons hard learned, and I'm still learning them, and I'm still going through the trauma of being in poverty as a child. I understand this about myself at 44. I'm still figuring out how to work with money and what money is and what it means. I know how to make it. I know how to generate it for other people. I know how to generate it for myself, but the keeping of it and the planning and the relationship with money is something that's an evolving thing. So I'm having my own journey and I can't and I refuse to pay for multiple other adults' journeys when I don't want to. You know who I have a toxic charity relationship with that I'm going to keep and I'm happy to is my mom. My mom and I have an arrangement. My mom goes out there and she speaks on tour with me. She appears on tour. She looks at deals for me. She helps advise me. She has her own eyewear line. She is part of the brand when I'm out on the road. And she doesn't ask for money for that. She doesn't ask to be compensated for that. So I said, you're good. My brother and I, Rook and I, we both said, as long as we're breathing, knock wood, as long as we're breathing, you're good. So that you get to make decisions like that. I know you know what I'm talking about, right? You get to make decisions. I'm being a little facetious, but you get to make decisions where you get to spend the way you want to. And I think, when you think about these 5 steps, what are the 5 steps? Appreciation, then anticipation, then expectation, then entitlement, which is like, that's the one you get to point at them and be the most upset with them. But then when you get to 5 and it's dependency, you realize you're the problem. Your giving was the problem rather than their receiving. Boom, it changes everything. Now, I want you to take this as a lesson. I want you to share this with someone. We don't talk about this stuff enough, not in public, not when even in private. When's the last time you had this conversation with somebody? Share this with your friend group. Share this with your family. Put this out there. And the way you can frame it so that it doesn't feel like an attack on anybody is you can frame it like, this is how you should look at giving, you know? So everybody can know at one point or another, I'm going to be in a position to give. I probably already am, whether I realize it or not. And I need to have this information in front of me so that I know. If you like these types of topics, let me know in the comments that you want more of this, because I have a lot of these life lessons that that I definitely have, this beyond how to start your YouTube or start your membership or how to have a sales call. I know these things that I've learned over and over and over again. That's why I have 2 books out. One is called Your First Million and one is called It's About Damn Time. Both of them will help you wherever you are, will help you in your journey. And I want to make sure you know about that. Make sure that you also, if you like this topic, check out these videos because they're going to really dive more into the topic for sure.